Hi guys, welcome back once again. And today we will discuss about validations in Laravel. There are so many ways in Laravel, so you can validate the incoming data. So let's understand with the help of some example. Okay. So for this, I've created one simple form for the post. So in this form, there is only one field body and the submit button. So whenever you submit it, it creates the post. Okay. So if you submit it with the empty, then you will get an error because body cannot be null. So for this, we require the validation. Okay. So to implement this, I have a post controller to create and save the form. Excuse me. And in the store method, whenever you submit the user submit the form, then it will come here and create the post. So here we can uh, write our validation. There are several ways to write it. Then so we will understand one by one. So first one is on the request object. You can call the validate method. Okay. In this validate method, you need to pass the field which you want to validate. I have a body field because in template I have named the body field, body name field. Okay. And map it to the validation rule. There are a set of rules, inbuilt rules, which Laravel provides you to validate your data. You can write your custom one also, but we will come on that later in this video. So let's now refresh it quickly and submit. And now it validates the body field. Okay. So in this syntax, you can pass the multiple rules like a min 5. Okay, minimum length must be 5. uh, you have to separate it with the help of pipe sign, and if you refresh it now you will get a body error. If you pass the data less than 5 length, then you will get body must be at least 5 characters error. Okay, so you can pass the number of rules here. You can also separate it out uh, with a comma, but you need to pass an array in that case, like this. Okay, and let's pass one more rule, email. The email rule will validate your field like email if you don't provide the data in email format. So if you submit it now, we'll get the minimum 5 and valid email address error. You can find out all the rules in the Laravel official document. Okay, so you can go the one by one, or what you required, you can find it here. Okay, so often we want to show only one error message at a time. So there is a bail method you can use. Using the bail method, returns it returns the validation message if first one fails. Okay, like currently we are getting two error message for the different rules. And now if we submit, we get one. Okay, so it validates one by one in order they are defined. Okay, so whenever the validate validates the field and it fails, then it returns the user to the source of the URL where the from where the request is coming, and returns with the error. Okay, so there is a global error variable available in Blade. Okay, here. So using this error, global error, we can print out our error messages. Okay, it's a one form to show an error, and if you are interested to show the error one by one for the field, there is also directive, this one. So let's copy it out, and this one, error directive, you need to pass the name of the field in that. Okay, and in this directive you need to show the message variable, so you can show the individual error message for the related field. So now if you submit it, you'll get this. Okay, so either you can use the error, global error variable, or the directive, error directive, so you can handle the message in the blade or in your template. Okay, so it's a one way to declare the validation. There are several other ways you can, if you don't want to use the request object, then you can simply use the request helper. The same thing, you can also call the validate with the request helper. Okay, uh, request facade, sorry. Okay, so let's stick it to the request object. Okay, sometime your fields, if your fields containing the dot. Okay, like let's take one more field, this one. Okay, let's call it version, and it has a dot in name. Okay, so Lara will simply replace the dot with the underscore when it takes where it validates it. So if we want to validate it, just copy the name of this field like this. Okay, and put the comma here, card. And if we refresh it, it shows the v.1 field is required. And if we enter in something, submit, it also keep complaining that this field is required. So Laravel does not identify the dot, so we need to replace this the underscore. Keep it in mind. And if we submit it now, okay, Laravel now identifies. It's a little you can say a note. Keep it. Also, one thing you have noticed or not, I don't know, but if you submit the data, uh, version doesn't keep that the old value, but body has, because there is a global method available. I have used in the body old. Okay, so old keep the old values when the validation fails. So if we uh, define here also in version, and we need to use this. Okay, then it will keep it also. So with the help of the old, we can retain the old values. Though simply just when the validation fails, the validate method redirect the user to the source of error, and with the error with the and uh, flash the old values to the session, so you can retrieve with the help of this method. Okay, so now if we input it, so version retain its value. Okay, like this. So it's a one form of the to implement the validation with the help of the request object facade helper function. Okay, the other method is you can create the validator manually. To create the validator manually, you need a validator facade. Okay, and it returns the validator, so you can further operate on that return data. So we need to use a make. Okay, and with the make, the first argument will be the request object. Okay, like this, and we need to pass all the input in that. And the second parameter here, you can define your validations like this. The defining rule is common, whatever method or approach you take. Okay, but in this approach, it does not uh, redirect you automatically. It returns the validator. Okay, and this validator we can we have a fails method. Okay, so let's die dump it and check what it returns. It returns the boolean value if the validation all the validation pass or not. So now if we refresh, okay, fails true. So validation fails. Okay, let's simplify this more. Required min 5. Let's remove the email here. And now again we post it. False means success. Okay, so we can use it in the if condition. Okay, if the validation fails, redirect the user to back simply, and we need error messages also. Then there is a method with errors redirect. I need to pass the validator in that. Okay, like this. So let's make it in multi-line so it will be clearly visible. Okay, and with the input also to retain the values what user has submitted. Now it will work like a charm as before. So version body. Okay, dedicated. Let's give some cool values. Okay, it is created. So you can create the validator manually here. Okay, uh, if you want to show the errors, if you want to track the errors, what errors is coming, then there is a method. Let's say item the validator, and errors not wrong. Okay, and now We submit to form. We got a message back object, and it has a related error. Body field is required. Okay, so with the errors, you can get the error message and handle and write some logic on that. Okay, you can also check if control check. You can further extend it. Okay, like this, and you can write your logic based on the errors. You can also customize the message, error message. Okay, that's it. Item same. Okay, we are getting the body field is required message. The there are the messages defined in the lang file. Basically, in the resource folder, there is a lang folder, and whatever the local is enabled, on the basis of the enabled local, you can have the validation.php file in the respective enabled local. Okay. If you want to know about the more localization, then you can check out my localization video. I've made it recently. So in this validation PHP, there are too many messages for the inbuilt validation rules. Okay, so let's search it for required. Okay, here you can see the required attribute field is required, and if you change it, that's d, and if you submit it, and you will get the modified version. Okay, so you can change it here as per your requirement of your application. Okay, and or you can give the customized messages. Okay, so here the second parameter, you can define required and messages. This is must. Let's check it out. Now if you refresh it, you will get this is must. But if you define like this, then it will be applicable all the required validation you are defining here. Okay, so for the version field and for the body field, it will show the same. If you want to be more specific, then you need to define like this. So let's submit again and make and submit as it is. Okay, now we have two error messages. both for the required. The version field is required, and this is must. So we can customize the message for the specific field also. Okay. There is a after hook in the Laravel, so you can implement the after hook on the also validator object. So it will work as uh, whenever something comes for the validation, so it run before all the validation happen. So let's understand with the help of example validator. Okay, after hook. Okay, and this after hook take the function closure function validator. Okay, and here you can add the error messages based on some custom or custom logic. Okay, so let's attach the error message on the body field. Errors. Okay, add, and the field name body and the message is a custom message like this. And of course here you have some logic to attach this. Okay, like you can validate the input of the body field. So on the validator you can call the get data. Okay, and the body like this. If equals to test, then this error message will be attached to the body field. So let's test it out. If we post it empty, it works like before. Okay, and if we input, there is a slash in the version. Let's okay. It is now gone. So let's give the some version given and body something. There is no message error message because we have inputted the field. And if we input the body as a test, give the input body as a test, and yeah, v1, then this error message, the after hook error message will be attached. So let's submit it now. Now if we check, okay, there are two error message. First one is for the 5 characters, and second one is it's a custom message. Okay. So you can extend your validation also using the after hook. Okay. On this, after getting the errors, if there are so many fields, you can get the specific fields error message also using the get and the body. Okay. And if we refresh it, it will work same before, but it is only getting the error messages for the body field. Okay, and if we want to check if the following field has an error or not, then you can run the method has. Okay, it returns the boolean value, and if you refresh it, true, because it has an error. Okay, and if it hasn't, then it will return the false. uh, the other thing I want to discuss, if you don't want to customize your message here, you can simply define the globally here also. In the validation.php file, the lang file, where all the rules messages are defined, you can define your messages here field wise. Okay, so there is a template already given, the name of the field or attribute, body, and the rule name required, and custom message for body required. Okay, so if we, let's change. Okay, so if we now refresh it, you will get mhm, body required, custom message for body required. Okay, so let's refresh it. Okay, now we are getting custom message for body required. Okay, so in this way you can customize the message also globally in your application. There is a one more setting in this file called attributes. If you call the body attributes in some other name with the some other name, okay, we can map this here. Let's say body address, body content, let's say, and pass the here. You can access the attribute with the help of the colon attribute like this. Okay, and if you submit, custom message for body content required. So with the help of the attribute setting, we can rename excuse me, the field level which you are getting an error message. Okay, so this is very useful to customize the messages in different languages. There are some situations in which you want to make validation conditional. Okay, so there are rules like if we want to validate version conditionally, so here you can define exclude if. There is a sort of the validation rule. You can find it here like this, exclude if. Okay, so exclude if required the source field. Okay, if it is field dependent on some other field, body, and the value of the field. So this field, this field will not be validated if the body is test. Otherwise, it will be go through the route. Okay, so simply this expression returns true and false if it returns uh, true, then it will not be validated, and if it return false, then it will be validated. So let's check it out. And we submit. So let's print it out all the error messages. Okay, now we're getting the error messages for both the event field, version field required, and the custom whatever we have changed in our global lang validation.php file. So if we put here the test, okay, so it should not be validated, the version field. Submit. Version field is required. What we are doing is the test. Okay. Okay. Now actually it was taking the space, so you need to careful to input here the values field. So here we are getting the error messages for body, but not for version field because it excludes, because we are inputting the body value as a test. Okay, so you can make the validation conditionally also. The other way around, there is a validation message. You can implement the conditionally with the help of the validator sometimes. Okay, like this. So in this expression, you need to pass the field which you want to validate, and the validation, okay, like this, and the closer function which takes the input. Okay, so in this closer function, so this field version 1 will be validated if it returns true. So if it returns true and submit it, then we'll get two error message for each fields. Okay, and if you return false here and return the submit, then the version field will not be validated. Okay, so here you can make a logic to return true and false, like the input variable here have the values of the field, and you can access like this. Okay, so if your body has a test field, test value, then it will be validated, otherwise no, not. Okay, so if we submit it, it will not be validated. Okay, and if we put here the test and submit, then it will be validated like this. Okay, so using this one, you can validate your field conditionally. So let's It's all about the. It's not all about the validation. I will make a second part for the validation. So it's less or more. Okay. So in the second part, I will cover the custom validation rule and the custom form request also. Okay. So that's all for today. Thank you. Thank you.